All right, guys. First off, thanks for doing this. We have Shay here and Dylan, and you guys are both 10th graders, right?
Yeah.
Both 10th graders, both athletic kids. They're both at least 3 sport athletes, right?
Yeah.
4 sports, 3 sports, 2 sports.
Just
Okay.
basketball and golf.
Gotcha. For some reason, I thought you were in track too. But all right. So what we're doing here, super informal interview. Basically, just getting a grasp of what you guys think about history and how you guys are kind of viewing some of the past events that have happened in American history. So first off, I want you guys to start looking through these pictures. And while you're looking through, I want you guys to just kind of explain to me what you guys are seeing and then why you guys think those events might be important.
Okay.
That was
this one's easy. The Iowa Dream speech from Martin Luther King kind of set the table, or kind of forced the government to pass the Civil Rights Act.
Yep.
And kind of changed the way people, or blacks, are treated in the world, in the U.S. at least.
This one's the first man on the moon. This is pretty important because we were the first people to have a human being out on the moon.
Kind of helped with the Cold War too. It gave us the edge over the Soviets.
You guys ever heard the conspiracy about the moon landing being fake?
Oh
But
yeah.
it is.
What do you
I
guys
think it is.
You guys
fake.
think it is fake?
I think yeah.
Why do you think it's fake?
I've seen a couple things where like they showed like the footprints
Yep.
on there, and then they showed the whole suit that they wore, and they were totally different footprints, like from the boots.
I think they faked it so they could get the edge over the Soviets.
You think it was just
Oh,
like
yeah.
a whole like, just to say we're better than these guys?
Have we even been to the moon since then?
No, not in person. I don't think anybody has.
Exactly.
So,
And why?
so you got that. Y'all can keep going.
Funeral of President John F. Kennedy and his son salutes. So I don't know a ton about this, but he probably just got assassinated. I know he got assassinated.
Yep.
So that was a big event in America.
This is a picture of 6 U.S. Marines raising the American flag.
You guys ever seen that picture before?
I think I have.
That's a pretty
Yeah.
popular picture.
Or they just, I mean, they were holding it up so it didn't fall.
Yeah, and it's just very symbolic.
Yeah.
Of,
There's a statue like that, isn't it?
there is. Yeah.
The first Wilbur and Orville Wright, modern aviation. This is huge for technology. Eventually it turned into leading way of transportation for America and stuff. It's cool just for America to be ahead in the world for technology.
This is an atomic bomb dropped on.
Nagasaki.
Is this the first atomic bomb dropped? Or
I think Hiroshima was
Hiroshima was
first.
first and Nagasaki. Both kind of ended World War II though.
At least the Pacific part of it, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. The story of Ruby Bridges is about one of the first black treasure takers getting aliens who were notes and stuff.
I'm sure you've heard of Ruby Bridges before.
Yeah, I think
Did you guys learn about her during the civil rights stuff in class?
a little bit. That was very
This is,
equal rights.
the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Probably pretty important.
I mean,
for-
this is probably pretty
We should
important.
pull out
Yeah.
important ones.
Oh yeah.
At least
that's
kind of
true.
maybe start separating some that you think are
Yeah, I mean,
big deal.
the signing is probably pretty dang
Put those
important.
as here.
maybe work it to a group of 10 and then work it down to
Yeah.
a smaller group.
Emancipation Proclamation is issued. I definitely have learned about this, but I don't know much about it.
What do you think it's about?
Something
Who's
with
in
government.
there? Who's in the picture?
Looks like Lincoln.
Yes. Yes. So what do you think? It might have to do with if it's got
Slavery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
This
That
one's
one could be said it.
George Washington crossing the Delaware River.
Ooh, that was big.
I don't think I know much about this, but
You don't?
I've seen
They
it
crossed
many
the river.
times.
It was right around Christmas. They
Yep.
crossed the river to sneak attack the British camp, or the Redcoats camp. I think it was the Hussies there.
Yes. That's a cool one too.
Here.
Washington D.C. March on Washington. This was right before the speech. Right, the same
I
day.
believe so. Yep.
They march for freedom and equality throughout the country, and eventually led to the Civil Rights Act passing and the Voting Rights Act.
Yep.
This is a family in pursuit of a homestead.
Yep. So this is like early beginnings. People
It's like
moving
everyone
west.
moving the westward expansion, everyone moving out west.
Have you guys ever heard of the Oregon Trail?
I
Yeah.
have heard of that.
So that's kind of what that is. And
Oh.
how hard they had it when they were moving that way out west.
Little Rock 9, we learned about this.
I taught you
Yeah,
guys
we learned
about
about
this.
this one recently.
I taught you guys about the Little Rock.
Yeah, you
Nine.
did. We basically 9 African American students had to be escorted by like military and stuff so they could go to school without getting hurt.
Crazy.
It was crazy.
This is Rosa Parks' mugshot.
Pretty gnarly, huh?
I know that Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to, was it a white gentleman?
Yes. Yeah.
And she was
She was
sitting
in-
in the black section, right?
No, I think she was. I think what the way I understand it is there was no white people on the bus yet, and then she just sat
Just
in
sat
the front,
down.
which is fine. But when a white person says,
Get up.
"Get up and move,"
And she refused to.
so
Should have been
This is D-Day, right?
that is D-Day.
Yeah. Storm the beaches of
It's a
Normandy.
pretty crazy picture.
It is a really crazy picture. Kind of changed the way World War II was going.
And like, think a majority of the people coming off those ships were probably about 2 years older than you guys,
That's crazy.
3 years older than you guys.
Wow.
It really just allowed for the Allies to win. Because
Yeah.
They took over. They finally got some reinforcements in there and were able to sweep up the other side.
Once they took that, yeah, absolutely. That's just that one to me is just crazy.
It is
This one's
scary.
I couldn't imagine myself doing something like that.
the destruction after the San Francisco earthquake.
Have you guys ever heard of the earthquake?
I have heard
Yeah.
of that. I don't know much about it, but
Pretty destructive. If you look at the
Yeah,
picture,
it looks like it.
It's like kind of looks like they could have made some apocalyptic movies.
Oh yeah,
in
definitely.
the wreckage.
Ronald Reagan teared down the wall, so he gave a speech about tearing down the Berlin Wall.
Yep.
It pretty much ended the Cold War and ended the Soviet Union as they started to dissolve the nations.
Migrant mother in California, 1936.
You ever seen that picture before?
I don't think, have you seen it?
It just kind of displays the hardships that
Oh yeah,
the migrants, especially those coming from Latin America.
That's gonna probably be pretty important.
Yeah,
Chicago in the
probably.
middle.
9/11.
Definitely the most recent one.
Yeah.
Yeah, most recent
Why do you-
terrorist attack.
Why do you think?
I mean, it was a big thing and just, wasn't it? It was really just out of nowhere, right?
I mean, there were definitely like, I wouldn't say signs, but there were definitely some heated tensions already
Yeah.
between us and
Middle East.
the Middle East. How much? Why do you think? I mean, that was only 2001, right? So
Yeah.
23 years ago. That's how old I am. So
That's crazy.
it's fairly recent, but starting to get further away. You guys weren't even born yet when this happened, which is crazy in my opinion to think of. But why do you think? I mean, how much has life in America changed since just 2001?
Well, technology has increased. Security has increased throughout.
Oh yeah, you see so many more. Like, just, I mean, in airports.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
You probably don't remember life. Well, you obviously don't remember life, but security prior to this in airports especially was like nothing. Like you walk onto the plane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now it takes
So-
like an hour just to get through security.
But like, and you guys probably, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys probably get annoyed sometimes by the overbearingness
gosh,
of like the
it's- yeah.
security sometimes, but
But once you see what happened, you get why.
exactly. All right, so do you guys have four?
I think we got
You guys
four,
have
right?
four?
Have you ever heard the conspiracy theories that 9/11 was staged?
I have. What do you guys think about those?
I've heard a couple.
I-
I don't know.
Does it make sense?
It does make sense that they stage it so they have a reason to go get the oil out in the Middle East.
Okay,
There you
so
go.
we have four.
So we got four.
All
Yeah,
right,
we got
perfect.
four.
All right, let's. So number one, we just talked about it, but number one was the picture of 9/11, right?
Yep.
And the Twin Tower attack. Okay, so we won't dive into that one. All right, next we got Emancipation Proclamation.
Wasn't this like a bill passed that like ended slavery?
Yes, so this was prior to the Civil War, right? This is like we're gonna give you guys 30 years to be done with slavery. So
And
no new slaves were allowed to come and work, and then like it was like we're gonna slowly start working slavery out, and then the Civil War comes about because
South didn't like that.
after the
Yeah.
time, and think about how much money it brought to our economy, slavery. Like,
Oh yeah.
think about in the early days when we were sending all these cotton products to
Yeah.
England and overseas in Europe. Like,
We probably
unfortunately, as bad as it is, like our country was kind of built on.
Yeah.
So it was really hard for those Southern folk to do away with that. All right, next up we got
Signing of the Declaration of Independence.
that pretty much created our country.
like we wouldn't have the U.S. without that, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember what came before the signing of the Declaration? There was a Constitution prior.
Is it or was that was after?
It's called the Articles of Confederation. Is what it first started as.
We did learn about that. It was just better.
We
But-
learned about this pretty early.
Yes, and then so like why, what makes our Declaration, what makes our Constitution different? Like what separates us from, like why did we, what's different about us than England? Like what didn't we want
The
to have?
people have the power and there's limited the
Yeah, and then the biggest thing is we didn't want a king.
yeah. We
Okay,
don't want
like-
it's all
Yeah, we had a president, and thankfully George Washington decided to set term limits too, because he probably could have been our king.
dictatorship.
But that's one of the biggest differences in our countries. Now, like in England today, the king or queen doesn't have as much power as they used to. But that was one of the main principles that we started our country on when we broke off from England was let's not have a king. And then lastly, we got
The I have a dream speech.
I Have a Dream speech. And then why do y'all think that one is?
This one really changed America because if you think about it, there was the Civil War, which was supposed to help with rights, but even after the Civil War, both races weren't treated equally. The African Americans were still treated poorly, and there's segregation throughout the South, everywhere. And
Yep.
stuff. And this led to the passing of the Civil Rights Act, which set everyone equal pretty much, and really changed the way our country worked.
So have you guys heard, I mean, I've heard this before, but like, have you guys heard the phrase, America today has never been as divided as it is right now? You guys have heard that?
Yeah.
When you think of how bad it was in the past, like in the 60s, do you guys agree with that statement? No.
It was so segregation was so awful back then. The
Why?
way they were treated with KKK and stuff.
Why do you guys think it's such a big deal now?
So, go over that question one more time. Why do we think?
Why do you think like people today are saying like racism has never been as bad as it is right now?
I think because, I mean, it looked like we fixed it all. I think, and
Yeah.
right there, right then and there, and then, I mean,
Definitely still around.
yeah,
so
it's.
you
I
guys-
mean, there's
sometimes,
definitely
yeah.
some still around.
Our country's dramatic and stuff.
That too.
I think that's probably true in some points, but I also think that like the development of like media and
Yeah.
stuff too, and like
really changed.
it's like it makes these issues like it gives them a megaphone, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
And then, do you guys think that these issues kind of come up more in years like this when we're kind of going on like a new election year, where like we're deciding that there's going to be a new president next year. Like I feel like all these things get amplified, right? Because
Definitely.
oftentimes like, the presidential candidates have different opinions on what's going on. Hopefully they can still hear us with the printers going. All right, cool. That was our first thing. And then hopefully this only takes about 5 minutes, but I'm gonna ask you guys some different questions based on history and government, and then a couple other questions. But this part will be pretty quick, and just do your best, no right or wrong answers. But first up, among all of your school subjects, where would you rank history or social studies in terms of your interest? Like, would it be at the top, middle of the pack, or like bottom? Your least favorite class?
PE a subject?
Yes, PE is a subject, but
Then I'd rank it probably at third.
third
It'd probably be right at the bottom.
at
for
the
me.
bottom for
Yeah.
you. Why do you think you would rank it so low? Do you think it's like the teacher partially doesn't make it interesting for you?
Partially that.
I've never been like I'm pretty good at math. Like I've
Okay.
never really been like really into history.
Okay.
It's always been a tougher subject for me, and I think that's why.
You think when you think history or social studies, are you like
One day.
I don't know about all the papers or anything. oh, I'm just memorizing dates and names, and
Yeah, a little bit.
that's how it feels like
A little
in
bit,
your
yeah.
classes?
Yeah.
You think that like a different, like if the teachers sometimes took different approaches and gave you guys a little bit more freedom within your subject, that would help?
We do the same thing.
You like you're just doing the
Pretty
Khan
much
Academy
every-
assignments
yeah.
day after day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that I can get
It can get a little boring.
after some time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Have you ever like taken the time to watch a historical film or a documentary outside of school, like on your own? Like, hey, I'm gonna sit down and watch the History Channel talk about D-Day.
No.
No.
I
And
mean,
then-
Especially not.
like movies. I've seen
Movies.
like some movies, like Hacksaw Ridge is pretty.
Yep. So you've seen some historical
Yeah.
based on historical.
Based on like
events.
historical.
But you guys
but
aren't,
nothing
like-
like the
I'm not
History
gonna
Channel.
like sit down and watch a quick YouTube video.
So if you watch a YouTube video, it's probably gonna be sports.
And then like, do you guys ever? So we'll focus on movies, and we'll talk about like the historical movies. Even movies that aren't based on historical events can like refer to them. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, do you think these movies are often like? You think they're like displayed accurately about these historical events, or you think they kind of like sugarcoat
They gotta sugarcoat it.
some of the problems and like how bad and how good sometimes things were?
I agree.
That's good. So basically, when you're looking at actual history, like the goal is to like discover exactly what it's about, truth
Yeah.
versus like let's not sugarcoat anything. Let's figure out and get to the bottom of what things actually mean. If you guys could pick one person from the past to talk to in history, a historical figure, who would you talk to?
I mean, like George Washington.
That's it.
Like he was the first president.
What would you ask? What would be like the first question you'd ask George
Could I
Washington?
tell him like he was the first president? Well, I guess he'd know that.
Right,
But,
right.
but what would I ask him?
Yeah, what would
Like,
be like your if you?
like, how does it feel being the first president ever? It probably feels pretty good.
I'm sure it feels good. Yeah.
I think I would talk to President Eisenhower.
President Eisenhower.
Yeah, just because like he was a leader in World War II.
Okay.
I think that'd be cool to just hear some of the stories about World War II and what was going on here.
That would be interesting. That's not what I expected you guys to throw out. All right, couple more questions. We got like a minute, and then I'm gonna send you back. Let's see. What do you guys think about like have you guys had like American government as a class, and like where would you rank? You haven't had that, or like have you had a civics class before? No. Next year? Okay, we'll skip that question then. What do you think your guys' rights and responsibilities are as like future citizens?
To vote.
To vote?
Pay your
Okay.
taxes.
And why do you think voting's important?
Because if you don't vote, then you're not giving your opinion on who should run our government and be the head of our country.
What would you say to someone that's like, but it's just one vote, like why did, mine's not gonna matter?
Because every vote.
Yeah.
Change the,
If
I mean,
everyone
if
does.
everyone thinks that, then
so there's like I can't remember the exact percentage, but I'm pretty sure over 50% of the people in our country don't vote for the president every year.
yeah, it's
So like that, does that, think about how much that like changes your opinion on who's deciding to be our president. That means there's just some people that are lazy enough to just not get up and do it. So my job as a future social studies teacher is to encourage you guys to do those
Yeah.
kinds of things. It might stink, it might take a little bit of time, but those things are important. And then, let's see.
Sorry, that's your essay, I think.
I know.
For some reason, it's
I
just
think
like papers.
I know. I like printed it almost.
All right. One more question for you.
It's a short story.
What do you think a teacher could do to make social studies more interesting in class? What do you think?
More hands-on activities.
More
Yeah.
hands-on
Instead
activities?
of just doing assignments.
Sorry, but.
change it up a little bit. I mean,
Change it up.
Yeah, even if it's just something different every week.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing Khan
Yeah.
Academy.
When you
every
just
day.
do the same thing, video Khan Academy, it's just kind of tough.
Perfect.
It's hard not to fall asleep. Say
All right.
that.
I'm gonna end it because we're kind of getting interrupted a little bit. But all right.